Can the success of the BNP be explained by the misguided immigration policy, the immigration policy that you call the greatest act of genocide against the British people in history, according to your website? The immigration invasion, an act of deliberate, calculated genocide against our ancient race and nation. So successive governments are committing genocide against their own people. Is that your theory?
I'm afraid that's the case. Yeah, that's certainly how
that's
it looks.
Your theory.
From the ordinary grassroots position, when all the political elite celebrates all the multicultural diversity and
do you know the definition of genocide?
Door. Yes, I do, and it's about destroying the United Nations definition. Is about destroying a culture by not allowing children to learn their own culture, for example.
How appalling, Mr. Griffin, that you use that word in that way.
Bonnie Greer. Bonnie Greer.
Look, the term indigenous, first of all, there was an ice age here. There were no people here in the ice age because they couldn't live in the ice.
Let's not go too far.
Hang on, no, this
Bonnie,
is
let's
important.
not go too far back.
I'm not. No, listen.
We'll be here all night if we start at the ice age.
David, Nick Griffin calls his party for indigenous ice age. Am I wrong?
The people largely descended by the people who came here when the ice melted.
Okay, when the ice melted 17,000 years ago, people came up from the south, didn't they? They couldn't come from the north. Where would they have come from the south? All of us, and you know this because you have a tube in history, all of us are descended from Africa. You wouldn't disagree with that, would you? Okay, now the only people who were here on this continent, and I've got a lot of books, in fact I brought a lot of stuff for you to read, Nick, because you need it. The only people who were here, and I call them people, were Neanderthals. Those were the people who were on the European continent. Now, if you don't believe that, you can come to the British Museum. We got lots and lots of information for you. I really wish you'd come because the history you've got on your website is a joke. It's wacky. And anybody who would seriously get upset by it.
You're in the middle of the white shirt there. I know you've spoken already.
No,
you haven't. All right, speak up then.
This is a question to Dick Griffin. Beg your pardon, Nick.
Now, come on, just make a statement.
You're committed to reversing, and you're committed to stemming the flow and reversing the flow of immigration into the UK, so that we revert back to a white Britain. Where do you want me to go? This is my country. I love this country. Yes. I'm part of this country. You know what? I was born here, I was educated here. You'd be surprised how many people will ever whip round to buy you a ticket and your supporters to go... to go to the South Pole. It's a colourless landscape. It will suit you fine.
You want to answer him?
Yes, thank you. Our immigration policy is, I think, supported by 84% of the British people at present, who, according to a very recent opinion poll, said they're worried about immigration.
Which opinion poll, Nick? Which is it?
Well,
there you go.
But it was in the papers only the other day.
What was it?
And this included 2/3 of members of settled ethnic minorities in this country also saying immigration is out of control, it's time to shut the door. Because our policy is
what he said was, where do you want me to go, was his question.
I'm very happy for you to stay here. What we've said is that we believe that it's time to shut the door because this country is overcrowded, that criminals, bogus asylum seekers and people who aren't loyal to this country should be deported, and everyone else can stay.
There's no such thing as a bogus... There's no such thing as a bogus asylum seeker. You are an asylum seeker.
All right, you sit in the front.
You are an asylum seeker. That's a legal term.
I'm amazed that you still pander to the left. Immigration is a major issue in this country. It's because of your policies in this regard that BNP have risen. Can you not accept that the government has an issue about this and has to tackle it square on?
Well, what I accept, sir, is this, that of course this is an issue which is exploited by people on the far right. And given the constituency that I've represented now for 30 years, of course I'd understand that. But what I'm not going to start going round and say, and I hope you're not either, is to say that suddenly I come from immigrant stock. You may or may not, but I certainly do. I'm third generation Jewish emigres on my mother's side. Well, because you have to have a fair... I'm very happy to have a fair and open debate about this, but as Saida said, and she was agreeing with me, we don't want to pull up the drawbridge. I accept entirely people's concerns about the pace of change, and I've seen that in my own constituency. What we try and do with that is to ensure that there are the resources put in places. I also understand the degree to which various myths about immigrants are perpetrated by people on the far right. If you go around and talk to people...
But Jack, the system...
Because you won't tackle it.
No,
Jack,
they fill the gap, you see. They fill the gap you've left behind.
Jack Straw, let me just put to you a quote from your own Labour Frank Field, a much respected speaker on this issue, who in today's Daily Telegraph said, "A fight back against the BNP will only begin when the party leaders give a full pledge that our population will not breach the 65 million barrier, 70 million being predicted." Do you support that idea?
No, I don't. And Frank
why not?
I'll tell you why. Because Frank is a good friend of mine, and he's an old friend of mine, but I don't happen to believe that putting a cap on population is possible. Why isn't it possible? Because you then have to put a cap on, for example, the number of children that people have. You also have to decide that you're going to be very, very authoritarian in who can come into this country. What we have done, sir, and we have responded to the concerns very significantly, for example, by tightening border controls, introducing the kind of checks on people going out as well as people coming in.
But no cap is what you're saying.
And we've done that, but what we've also done is to introduce the Australian points-based system for work visas.
But Jack, none of your systems are working.
No, they are.
That gentleman is right.
But I'm very sorry. These systems are working, and what, for example, they're doing in respect of work permits, and I've seen that with my own constituents, is that getting a work permit is now much more difficult, and we can adjust, as Chris was saying, the numbers each year by changing
Jack,
the
until we start having the honest debate.
We're having an honest
debate. You have to start having an honest debate. You're in denial, and that gentleman is right.
All right. Nick Griffin, he says it is working. Do you think it's working?
I don't think it's working. You see with your own eyes what's going on in towns and cities all over Britain. The place is changing at a huge rate, and the ordinary public simply do not want it. And it's time the elite learnt that.
The man in the blue, with the blue tie, on the pale blue tie there, and the blue suit. Yes, sir.
Yes, why are we letting thousands of immigrants into our country when we have rising unemployment?
Why what?
Because why are we letting...
Who said that?
We have rising unemployment in this country.
Yeah, go on then, speak up.
I work with immigrants, refugees. Nick Griffith should probably visit my workplace. I had a student who was a qualified doctor in her country, and she worked proudly as a cleaner in this country. I have other students attempting to learn English so that they can contribute positively in this country. And they're taking on jobs that some English people, according to Mr. Griffith's definition of English, are unwilling to take, some foreigners unwilling to take.
OK. I'm going to move on now because we've, believe it or not, only got under 10 minutes left, and I didn't want this whole programme to be about the BNP. Shalina Nilavera, please.
Should the Daily Mail have published the Jan Moyer article on Stephen Gately?
Should the Daily Mail have published the Jan Moyer article on Stephen Gately, the Boys' Own band member who died suddenly, and the Daily Mail, Jan Moyer, published an article which caused a great number of people, I think over 22,000, to complain about it. Bonnie Greer.
One of the qualities of our democracy, and it's the most important, maybe, is that we have freedom of speech and freedom of expression. If we don't have it, we're doomed. I didn't like that article. I thought it was nasty. I thought it was cruel. I thought it was inaccurate. I don't know where this woman was coming from when she wrote it, and I despised it. But she had the right to write it, and the newspaper had the right to print it. That's called democracy. It ain't pretty, but it's the least evil we human beings can make.
Chris Huhne?